Today, I am a chief of staff working very closely with the vice presidents, a role that I thought I wanted to be a VP. But after having children and leading our organization through so many changes, I got burnt out. I don't want to be a vice president at this company. I want to be the CEO of my own business. I'm not saying I'm leaving my job, but I am saying that my ambitions have shifted and I no longer want to climb the corporate ladder, trading my time for money. This is Internal Rate of Return with Amanda Alexander. Okay, everyone, we made it. This is my 21st episode. Alex Hormozy said fewer than 1% of podcasters make it past 21 episodes. And here we are. Thank you so much for your support and listening this far. If you're new to the show, hello and welcome. You picked a good one to jump into. This is a special edition holiday episode, so I don't have any guests, just me, and this is airing on Thanksgiving. This will be different in many ways, one being that I'll share more of my personal journey than I ever have before, which is not the most comfortable for me, but I hope, if nothing else, it somehow makes us closer. Eventually, I'd like to build a community with my listeners, and that's you. Community starts with connection. So here it goes. Well, it's Thanksgiving for starters. I have a lot to be grateful for. My better half, our beautiful sons, our two cats, our health, the fact that we are spending November at our second home in Macedonia, that I still love my job, my day job, and somehow I've managed to keep at this whole investing, building wealth thing while steadily recording this podcast, effectively getting to sit down with successful investors and learn from them how they found their return to self, their internal rate of return. If you've heard of the Triad for success, it's these three things: knowledge, hustle, and capital. Having just one doesn't go very far. Having two of these will help you grow. And then combining all three will make you a master who can scale. We're going to focus on the first part of the Triad, knowledge. That's what you're tuning in for. And my sincere hope is to impart whatever knowledge I can over to you. And while today's focus is on learning and education, I would be remiss to not remind you that taking action, hustle, is critical. And then if you already have capital and are looking for ways to deploy it, you'll need someone with the knowledge, or you'll have to go and get it yourself. And you'll also want people who will hustle to grow your dollars. Again, my podcast is not just about money. It's about making so much money that you can live the lifestyle of your dreams and pursue passion projects through the internal rate of return, one's return to self. Successful investors can hopefully make the world better in their own special way, one project at a time. Okay, but back to the knowledge part. Today's 21st episode recaps 21 books that I've read in the past year that have gotten me to where I am today and will undoubtedly influence what I do next. 21 books may seem like a lot, but it turns out that I've read even more than what I'll list here today. You can say that I am a bibliophile. I love books. And I have a humble beginning that might explain why. I didn't grow up with much. In fact, home was a very unstable place. Sometimes we didn't even have a home. I had to stay with friends on their couches or at a Best Western hotel, which was better than being, well, homeless. Why do I mention this? Not to throw a pity party for myself, but to share where I'm coming from. Things were not easy, to say the least, and I was just a kid. Nothing was within my control. It was a broken home, and one way that I could escape it was to get lost in books. Holding a book in my hand, that gave me back a sense of control, a sense of security, really a way to cope. My mom would work late. My dad wasn't around. We've all heard stories like this. Sometimes nobody would come pick me up from school, and it's really embarrassing to look like you have nowhere to go. So when I was in middle school, I would walk through downtown to the library, and that was my refuge. My sister, who is way smarter than me, only 5 years older, dropped out of high school to work three jobs so that she could rent an apartment for the two of us because our parents were off doing who knows what, making questionable decisions. And I'll leave it at that. I was about 11 years old and my sister was 16 at the time. That's a lot of adult pressure to put on teenagers, but we made our way. And her advice to me was always just to do well in school. So again, books were my ticket out. I didn't do well in high school. I would sign myself out, smoke weed, go to the beach, get a tan. I just didn't take it seriously. I went to community college, then transferred to the University of California, and I graduated summa cum laude, and then went on to become a doctor of pharmacy. And I graduated with $250,000 of debt because I put myself through school on student loans and had to use those student loans to pay for my cost of living in California, which is just not cheap. So, yes, you heard that right. Over $250,000 in debt. And I just paid that off last month. I feel really proud of myself for that. I feel proud of myself for coming this far. When I finished my PharmD, I went straight into the executive leadership track on the commercial side of a big biotech company. And I've had incredible experiences in my career. I rose really quickly. And today I am a chief of staff working very closely with the vice presidents, a role that I thought I wanted to be a VP. But after having children and leading our organization through so many changes, I got burnt out. I don't want to be a vice president at this company. I want to be the CEO of my own business. I'm not saying I'm leaving my job, but I am saying that my ambitions have shifted and I no longer want to climb the corporate ladder, trading my time for money. I am now obsessed with the idea of having my money work for me while I sleep and seeing mailbox checks roll in month after month, even though that's not really a thing anymore, right? Everybody pays online. Anyway, flashback to summer of 2023. I was on family vacation, laying on a beach in Greece, reading Brandon Turner books. And 21 books later, here I am with this podcast, owning rentals and getting ready to buy a small business as part of my side hustle. I'm documenting this entire journey here on the microphone and on my Instagram at Amanda the Investor. And I will continue my insatiable love of books. So, recapping them here when I can, or pulling through some of the themes in our interviews. Okay, biography over. Let's get into these 21 books. 21 books on my 21st episode. I will categorize them. 8 are on the technicalities of real estate investing. 5 are about mindset. 4 about scaling. 2 for goal setting. And then 2 journals I've used in the past year or so. There are so many great takeaways beyond whatever I recap here. So please don't think this is a comprehensive summary, more like one-liners that come to mind for each title. Okay, ready? Let's go. Book number 1, the book on rental property investing by Brandon Turner, How to Create Wealth with Intelligent Buy and Hold Real Estate Investing. This one breaks it down pretty much, like why rental properties are a good investment, the 5 keys to success, and that's thinking the right thoughts, studying the right resource, picking the right plan, and acquiring the right assets and managing the right metrics. And one important part is the 10 members of your real estate team, and he starts with your spouse. So that's key. The others are your mentor or accountability partner, real estate agent, lenders, contractors and handymen, bookkeepers, CPA, lawyer, insurance agent, property manager. I'm not going to go through the table of contents for every book, but just giving you the overview here because it really did lay the land as I embarked on this journey of learning. And he gets a little bit into analyzing a rental property and then that you can pretty much buy out of state and that there are different types of rental properties. Location is super important. How do you find these rental properties? And then submitting an offer, doing the negotiation, getting financing, due diligence, getting ready to close, and then managing your rentals. He gets into that, which I'm not as much interested in because we are trying to have our portfolio be managed by property managers so we can manage them remotely. And then he does cover exit strategies and the 1031 exchange. So that was book number 1. Book number 2 is the book on investing in real estate with no or low money down, creative strategies for investing in real estate using OPM, other people's money. Okay, this is a book that I probably need to reread. It's really good. It talks about owner occupied investment properties, partnerships, HELOCs, so home equity loans or lines of credit, and then hard money or raising private money. So if you don't know about private money, private lending, whether you are looking to raise it from your network or being a private money lender to get better returns on your dollars, it's important to learn about it. And I actually invested in taking a class with Soli Cayetano, Lattes and Leases, her private money playbook course, which she offers only once a year, if that. And it's a very small class. It was awesome. I met my accountability partner in there. Shout out to Claire. Hi. And in this book, Brandon Turner also covers lease options, seller financing, wholesaling, syndication, and then creative combinations, ways you can combine all of the above. So, highly recommend this one. I am just now starting to put it to use as a syndicator and will share more of my journey as I learn more on that. So that was book number 1 and 2. Book number 3 out of the 21 is Long Distance Real Estate Investing by David Green. I actually listened to that on Audible, so I don't have the physical book here with me, but I do recommend it because it does give you reassurance that it is possible, especially in today's world where we have technology, you have FaceTime, you have everything on our phone. You can have contractors and team members in a market far away from you, sending you videos and photos, FaceTiming you to walk through a property. And long distance real estate investing is possible. And that is what enabled me to make the leap. And I bought a duplex in Oklahoma City, sight unseen, and it's doing all right. I'll leave it there. The other book by David Green, so book number 4, is Buy, Rehab, Rent, Refinance, Repeat, the Burr Method. This one is awesome. It was a lot more applicable maybe 5 or 10 years ago. There's no perfect Burr now. Really, if you don't know what Burr is by now, I'd recommend reading about it and learning about it maybe on another podcast. But it's a way to recycle your money. So you can buy an undervalued asset that's not in great shape. You rehab it. So he really walks through how to work with contractors and, solicit bids and hold them accountable and ways to incentivize them to finish on time. This was a really good book. So you rehab the property, you rent it out, and then you have forced appreciation because you've rehabbed it. And then you also are making income with your renter. So then you get it appraised at a value that is hopefully big enough that you can take out 75% loan to value and recover the money that you initially put in for the down payment and any of the renovations. And then use that money that you've taken back out to invest again. So repeat, Burr. Definitely recommend learning about that. I have yet to execute, but really these syndications that I'm working on are exactly that. It's just Burr on a bigger scale with large apartment complexes. And the other big thing that I've learned since investing is that the refinance part really depends on the appraisal. And when you buy anything that is below 5 units, so 4 units or less, the appraisal is based on comps. So other properties that are comparable to yours in your area, really as close as possible to the location. That can be variable. You could have a seller down the street who's really motivated and just wants to get out of town and then sells their property under value. And then that brings down the property value on average for everybody surrounding. So that is a little more risky. Whereas in commercial real estate investing, if you buy anything 5 units and up, you have more control over the appraisal or the value of that asset because there is this great equation, which I will get to actually in one of my next books. So let me just pause on that. Book number 5 is Real Estate Rookie 90 Days to Your First Investment by Ashley Kerr. All due respect to Ashley, this was pretty much a repeat of Brandon Turner's book on rental property investing. I guess the difference is that at the end of each chapter, she has a call to action. So, did this contribute to me buying a property within 90 days? Maybe. I did get into contract a bunch of times when I first started reading these books. Well, 3 times to be exact on single family. So the first time was on a really nice house in Chattanooga. I love the Chattanooga, Tennessee market. And we were really close to closing. And then what happened was we were getting assessed for home insurance and needed to get flood insurance, which was something crazy like $6,000 a year. And it completely killed the underwriting, the cash flow potential of this property. So I had to back out. And the interesting thing was that owner, seller, was an agent. And so he knew that it was in a flood zone, but didn't disclose that in the listing. So that was a lesson learned. And maybe just by repeating the information, I had more confidence to take action. The second time I went into contract was in Columbus, Ohio. And it was right before, actually, sorry, the second one was Indiana. That property in Indy was a small one and nicely priced. But when I called for the inspection, they said the foundation had some major issues and I wasn't willing to dig into that. So I backed out, still got my earnest money deposit back. And then the third time I went into contract was right before my son Ian was born. We went into contract in Columbus, Ohio, and it was a decent property. And there was a person who, it was really interesting the way that it was kind of serendipitous. My friend Anish had a podcast and she was one of the guests. And little did I know, this was before I put, like, I didn't know that she was the seller when I put the offer in. And it just was an interesting way that it's a small circle. She's in the Bay Area and this is a Ohio property. But anyway, I went into contract and it had knobs and tubes or whatever it's called. The electrical and plumbing needed to be completely updated. And that was not a project we were willing to sign up for when we were right about to have a kid. So I backed out of that one and then had a kid. And then, there's that newborn period where you're just in a daze, you're sleep deprived. And then once we emerged from that, I really started to sit down and think, hey, single family is not going to cut it. If I want to make thousands and thousands of dollars net cash flow every month, you're making maybe $200 a door. So I would need to buy at least 50 doors on my own to get to $10,000. And that just didn't seem as scalable. So I switched my mindset into multifamily. I heard Christian and Cody on the Bigger Pockets podcast and got interested. And I know this is not part of the 21 books, but it's giving you my trajectory here. But I joined their community, their mentorship program, and it was a bunch of young guys. And I'll tell you how much it was $5,000. And they pretty much tell you how to find the smaller multifamily mom and pop owned, because when you look at the larger ones, those are owned by LLCs, so syndications, large teams. And if you can find the name of the owner of these smaller, let's say 20, 40 unit properties in your market, you can look them up on the tax assessor, like county website. try to find their phone number, and then build rapport with them and try to get into seller financing. So that was interesting, but I realized I don't really have the time for this. And these guys were doing well because they were a 4-hour drive from their properties and could do the rehab and the managing. And that's just not something that I was going to do with 2 small children and a full time job. And a lot of the folks in that community were much younger, less experienced, didn't have any rentals. So it wasn't quite the right fit, but this led to my pivot into learning about syndication and general partnerships, limited partnerships. And I found Rod Cleef online, which brings me to book number 6. And that is How to Create Lifetime Cash Flow Through Multifamily Properties, 90-Day Action Plan Included, The New Rules of Real Estate Investing by Rod Cleef. Look at this book is super gross and beat up because it's been all over the world with us. My spouse is reading it now, and I really dug into this. And this full circle gets me back to that whole thing with the appraisals and the equations. So with multifamily investing, the power is in this equation, ERV. So it's well, he says ERV, and let me flip that around. So ERV as an IRV, net operating income, that's the I, cap rate, that's the R, and then the V is for value. So the equation is value equals net operating income divided by cap rate. And I'm not going to get into capitalization rates. Definitely learn about it if you're interested in buying as well as being a limited partner and investing, but we don't have much control over the cap rate. What we do have control over is the net operating income. And you can increase the amount of money you collect through the rents. And you could do that through just bringing rents to market or renovating units and then getting better rental rates there, as well as decreasing the costs of operations like repairs and maintenance. So that's how you increase the number for net operating income. And thus, if cap rate stays the same, you directly increase the value of your property. And that's how the property gets appraised based on really how the P&L, how much money you're making on the property. And that's really empowering. So if you can find ways to increase the rent, do a nice reno, and decrease operating expenses, then you have control over that NOI and thus control over the value of the property. You can refinance and then pull money back out or just sell it at a way better value. So that's multifamily. I have 2 more books in terms of technical parts of investing, the technicalities of investing, and that includes Profit First for real estate investing. Now, Profit First is an overall concept that applies to different types of industries, and this one is specific to real estate investing. It's by David Richter. The subline is Transform Your Real Estate Investing Business from a Cash-Eating Monster to a Money-Making Machine. This was a good read. I actually read it while I was in Macedonia, and it did inspire me to reconfigure my bank accounts and not just have one pot, one account where all the money coming in, all the money that goes out is just in that one pot. That's not the way to go. The thing that he really brings to light is that you think that you make your profit based on income less expenses. And actually, what you should do is make sure that you are paying yourself first and then do what you can to optimize your expenses. And that's how you will improve your own profits. And the only way that you can really do that is through having separate bank accounts and allocating, almost like direct depositing that set amount into your profit account and then making sure that you have enough for your operating expenses. And I'm not articulating this perfectly, but it's a good read. I recommend it. It definitely helps to turn your investing into an actual business. And also just the fact that you should have your own bank account for your business. This shouldn't be going in and out of your own personal checking account. And the last book is a nice segue from technicalities of investing through to mindset. And that is Brian Lubin's From Passive to Passionate: How to Quit Your Job, Grow Your Wealth, and Turn Your Passions into Profits. This overall gets into some of the things we just talked about, real estate investing, as well as small business acquisitions, and the importance of having a clear vision and values, and really just maps the way to go from collecting passive income to pursuing your passions. And that is sort of the core of this podcast, right? It's to make enough money through investments that you can design the lifestyle of your dreams or have passion projects. So this was definitely inspiring, probably in more ways than I can even say. One of the concepts that really stood out to me from this was the financial thermostat. So if your parents were making, let's say, $60,000 a year, that somewhat sets your financial thermostat. Whereas if your parents were making $600,000 a year, that also influences your thermostat, in the sense that if you are not making that amount, you strive to at least get to that amount or a little bit more. But if you make wildly over 600,000 or 60,000, people tend to self-sabotage and go back to a level of familiarity. So really brings to light the importance of being mindful of how you set your financial thermostat, that you do have control, and you should set your thermostat high, higher than maybe you might default to. So that's one takeaway. Okay, now we're switching into the 5 books about mindset. And this is book number 9 out of the 21. And I actually have listed Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, but the physical book I have in front of me is Untethered Soul by Michael A. Singer. And this one was handed to me at a multifamily mastermind. And it was timely because I've heard about this book. I have put on my wish list to read it, and it came to me. Books find you in certain ways, and it's a mystery of life, how books find you, or maybe just me because I love books so much. But this book did resonate with me, but the one that really, really gets me to pause and be present and grateful is The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. And I don't have that physical book in front of me because while I've read it, quote unquote, read it multiple times, I just listened to it on Audible, and it's Eckhart Tolle reading it, and it really does help me center. So Power of Now, which this is going to contradict the latter 2 books that we talk about in mindset. So bear with me here. Book number 10 on mindset is Think and Grow Rich. You've heard multiple guests mention this book. This is Napoleon Hill. It is so important and also ties to some of that financial thermostat thinking that Brian Lubin has in the Passive to Passionate book. So Think and Grow Rich. Listen to it on Audible. Highly recommend. I'll just leave it there. That's like a staple. Now, these next 2 books are by Dr. Joe Dispenza. And I'm going to get a little woo-woo here. Hopefully you stick with me. So this is Becoming Supernatural by Dr. Joe Dispenza: How Common People Are Doing the Uncommon. If I were to grossly oversimplify this book, it's about frequency, how we are energy more than we are matter, like actual like matter, like hard, solid stuff to touch. And I don't know that I'm going to do it justice, but I found out about Dr. Joe Dispenza from the Ed Milet podcast. And it really made a lot of sense to me. And maybe the way that I'll summarize it is through the quantum field. So talks about how we are all connected and there's this quantum field, and you can have more control over the energy or frequency that you put into the quantum field, or that you even attract through the quantum field. And I realize how weird this sounds. So I'm just going to leave it there, but know that that was an influential book for me. And that led me to read a second book, which is Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, breaking the habit of being yourself, how to lose your mind and create a new one. I'm probably losing folks here, but this gets into some of the meditations. And really, at the core of it, it's about how, okay, if you think about a song or if you're listening to a song from your childhood or from your teenage years, it brings you right back to that time, right? Or if you think about a really sad moment in your life, your heart grows heavy, you want to cry. Or you think about future thinking or fantasy, something that you find as a turn on, and then your body starts to respond to that. Blood flows to certain places and you're feeling turned on. Well, this is all rooted in the fact that your thoughts matter, and that when you are thinking about something in the past, you're effectively living in the past. Like in that example where you're thinking about a sad moment and then you start to become sad. That's not what's happening in the here and now. And yet, what's happening inside your body, maybe you start crying, maybe your heart feels heavy and you start to feel down. That's purely started with thinking and living in the past. So, this breaking the habit of being yourself is that many of us live in the past and not so much in the present. And there's a way to sort of manifest your future by really thinking about what it would be like to be on that yacht as a mega millionaire, or, just really putting yourself into a state of gratitude for things that you may not have yet, but you are grateful as though you already have it. And I'll leave it there because you probably are done listening to this part. Okay. And the final book in Mindset, book number 13, is Be Your Future Self Now by Dr. Benjamin Hardy. So, similar theme, breaking the habit of being yourself, be your future self now. This contradicts what I said as the first mindset book, which is Power of Now and just being present, right? Because you're so future forward, thinking about what's down the road that you may not be present. And this is a conflict I have every single day in many, many moments throughout my day where I'm thinking about the future, but I don't want that to rob me of this beautiful present moment, say playing with my kids. I am thinking about the future because it motivates me to take action, make certain decisions now that will enable the future lifestyle and different family setup that we'd like to have. But I don't want that to take away from what I can enjoy right now in this moment. But anyway, back to the book. This is book number 13 out of 21. It's Be Your Future Self Now, Dr. Benjamin Hardy. And he opens with an anecdote from Mr. Beast, who is probably one of the biggest YouTubers in the world. And that guy, when he was a kid, he was in high school, did a video, like a 2-minute video to himself saying, hey, it's today. I have 8,000 subscribers, and I hope that future me has 1 million subscribers or something like that. And he far surpassed his goals. And he did this pretty much addressing his future self 6 months from now, 1 year from now, 2 years from now. And then I don't know if you pre-release it or whatever, it publishes on that date 6 months later, a year later, 2 years later. And it's incredible to see that he set his mind. He was a kid, he was a high schooler who was just being silly, making videos. And somehow by putting it out there, the universe conspired to have him meet his goals and exceed them. So at the time of this recording, I have something like 8 subscribers on YouTube, and I'm hoping to have, let's 10x that, like 80 by April 2025. And then I have like 175 followers on Instagram. Would like to have 1,750 by April. That's, a few months out from this recording. And that's that. So that's how it inspired me, was just to connect to my future self. And it's not all about metrics. That's not, again, I'm not doing this to have a bunch of followers or be some kind of influencer, but I do hope to put content out there that is helpful to other people and reach more people and learn and grow together. So that's really the hope. And we'll see where this takes us. Okay, so we did 5 books on mindset, power of now, think and grow rich, becoming supernatural, breaking the habit of being yourself, be your future self now. Now we'll talk about 4 books related to scaling. So this is book number 14 out of 21, and that is The E-Myth, E-Myth Revisited by Michael E. Gerber. Why most small businesses don't work and what to do about it. A lot of my guests quote this book, and the E is for entrepreneur, and I highly, highly recommend it. It pretty much covers how, you may be really good at some technical aspect of a trade or, let's say, baking pies, but then you don't have some of the administrative savvy or the mindset to really manage and grow a business. And so you have these people who believe that, hey, I'm really great at being an auto mechanic, so I'm going to have an auto mechanic shop. And then they're not set up for success because they have the technical side of it. They're a technician, but don't have the business side of it. And I'm not even summarizing this perfectly, but go read it. It's a good one. And it really makes you think about how your business ultimately is the product. So how do you build your business in a way that literally can be successful whether you're there or not? And it's sort of like the franchise model. Like you want to be able to sell your business. So that definitely piqued my interest, and you'll start to see a shift in what I'm curious about, and that is small business acquisition. So maybe I'll come back to this and do a more thorough summary of the E-Myth because it's an important one. But I'm going to guess that most of you have read it. And if you haven't, go get it. All right. So this next book is book number 15 out of 21, and that is Traction by Gino Wickman. You've definitely heard my guests talk about this one. My coach mentioned it to me the first time, and I read it, and it's good. It is about the entrepreneurial operating system, the EOS, and that is a step-by-step framework that helps businesses overcome challenges and gain traction. And the EOS is made up of 6 key components that can be strengthened to help a business grow. So those components are number 1, vision. And that exercise that I did through reading this book, I think really helped me have vision and values in place, which enabled me to make some quick decisions on some of the projects I've been on. The second component of the 6 is people, the importance of having the right people in the right roles and ensuring that everyone shares the company's vision and values. The third is about data and the power of using data to drive decision making and to track progress. The fourth is about issues, really being upfront about issues. So tackling the challenges and obstacles that businesses face, and making sure that those issues are accounted for. And then number 5 is about process. So the importance of establishing clear and consistent processes to streamline operations. So having like SOP, standard operating procedure, manuals and whatnot. So that's vision, people, data, issues, process. And then the 6th is traction, the concept of executing the vision through disciplined implementation of the previous components. So traction, I recommend it. And I even use that in my team and my leadership teams. I use this at my work in corporate. So I hope to use it one day on my own businesses. Okay, so I mentioned 4 books that have to do with scale, and these last 2 books are obviously by Alex Hormozy. So book number 16 out of 21 is $100 million leads. $100 million leads. And it provides strategies for generating leads and getting strangers to buy products and services from you. It includes real world examples and actionable insights from the Hormozys from their businesses. And some of the key takeaways include the core 4. So it breaks down the world of marketing into 4 main categories. That's warm outreach, posting content, cold outreach, and ads. And they also cover lead magnets. Those are low commitment ways for potential customers to engage with your business. Regular testing is important and optimization. So those are essential for improving the effectiveness of your lead magnets and your offers. And it's important to have captivating offers. That's the cornerstone of effective lead generation. That could be an episode in and of itself. And then really defining a lead. And a lead is anyone who can be contacted, and a qualified lead is someone who has shown interest in what is being sold. So Hormozy really does explain how to empower others, such as employees, customers, affiliates, and agencies to get leads. And it's a pretty good book. I have yet to put into practice, but hopefully we'll see it one day. Okay. And the fourth book about scaling is $100 Million Offers by Alex Hormozy. How to make offers so good people feel stupid saying no. And really, this is providing entrepreneurs with strategies for increasing the value of their products or services. Main idea is that more value leads to more demand, which in turn leads to higher prices and more profit. Some of the key takeaways include creating a category of one. So make your business so much more expensive than competitors that customers must pause and consider it a different category of solution. Another takeaway is to consider the value of your product. The value is determined by four factors: a dream outcome, perceived likelihood of achievement, time delay, and effort and sacrifice. So that altogether is what determines the value of your product. You've got to address obstacles. So incorporating solutions into your service package to address whatever obstacles your consumer is facing, and that you want to avoid being a commodity. Overall, you just want to make winning offers. And that's the basis of very successful business, is just winning offers. There's obviously a lot more to that. Did not do it justice, but that's one of the 21 that I've read in the past year. Now we're in the final four. So 2 about goal setting and then 2 about journaling. Now, this is book number 18 out of 21, and that is Vivid Vision by Cameron Herold, a remarkable tool for aligning your business around a shared vision of the future. So, Cam Herold's Vivid Vision is really about achieving success. To do that, you have to be able to see it first, like how Walt Disney saw Disney World before it was even a thing. And that's the overall philosophy. And this means having a clear idea of what you want your business to become and where you see it going. A vivid vision is a three-dimensional world that you can step into and explore. It's a world you can share with your team to create true alignment and really amazing results. And it's really the roadmap that helps your team see where to go so they can figure out how to get there. So you need a vivid vision. And he says that one hallmark of a good company is the ability to promote from within, which leads to a culture of dedication, willingness. And the point of creating a vivid vision is to lean out into the future, to pretend you're traveling in a time machine to a moment 3 years ahead. It's dreaming where you want the company to be in every metric, from personnel to review to location to services, and working backward from there. Most companies do the opposite. They look at what they actually are and then make designs based solely on that. So this is where you hear about the BHAG, big, hairy, audacious goals. And this really just helps you write a 3-year vivid vision. You have to start by being calm and relaxed and then envisioning this world that you'd love to help create and be part of someday. And you describe every part of it: your marketing department, IT, finance, sales, operations, your culture, what your employees are saying about you and what the media is writing about you. You describe the details of every area in your business until you've exhausted all the goals that are hiding in the back of your mind. And that's really it. So, making your vision really vivid. And I'll leave it there. Now, the second book about goal setting is The 12-Week Year by Brian P. Moran and Michael Lennington. And this is book number 19 out of the 21. I highly recommend it. It is about getting more done in 12 weeks than most people get done in a year, because you treat your 12 weeks like a year. And it really is about metrics and tracking. I have a tracker, literally a spreadsheet of habits that I know will get me towards my goals. Did I do it or did I not? And it gives me a score. And your goal is to hit 85% of the time doing those habits. There's more to it. There's even a planner. So that might end up being one of my journals one day, but right now I will pivot over to the final two books in my 21. Number 20 is Brandon Turner's Intention Journal. I was using that in the beginning when I was consuming all those Brandon Turner books and Bigger Pockets, etc. And that did help me get some clarity. But then once I started working with my coach, I read Brendan Burchard's High Performance Habits, which I didn't even list here, but it helped me also jump into the High Performance Planner. Like, check mine out. It is all beat up. If you're watching this on YouTube or if you're just listening, it's this black planner that seen some things because I write in it every day, every single morning. I try to wake up before my kids are up. I make my cup of coffee and I journal in there to really set my intentions for the day. And then every evening, I my spouse knows that this is part of my evening when I'm drinking my chamomile tea and winding down. It helps me to give myself a score of how I showed up in the 6 habits for success. Those are clarity, energy, necessity, productivity, influence, and courage. So clarity is I knew my why and lived intentionally today. Energy is I managed my mental and physical energy well. Necessity is I felt it was necessary to be my best and made success a must. Productivity is I worked on things that mattered most today. Influence is I guided or treated others well today. And courage is that I shared my real self, thoughts, and feelings today. So that's at the end of the day. Actually, there's a few prompts. I'll even read them here. I'm not going to tell you what I wrote, but every morning you write a message to yourself. You do your top 3 goals and priorities, tasks that must absolutely be done today. And there's hour by hour from 6 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. I write in what my day looks like. And there are notes at the bottom. And then the morning mindset has these questions. It's one thing I can get excited about today is dot, dot, dot. If one word could describe the kind of person I want to be today, then that word is dot, dot, dot. And why I chose it is dot, dot, dot. Number 3, someone who needs me on my A game today is, and there are 10. So number 4 is a situation that might stress me out or trip me up today could be, and the way that my best self would deal with that is. Number 5, someone I could surprise with a note, gift, or sign of appreciation is. Number 6, one action I could take today to demonstrate excellence or real value is. Number 7, one thing I could do today that is a little outside my comfort zone is to, in parentheses, try, ask for, express something, take a big step, etc. Number 8 is if I was a high performance coach looking at my life from a high level, I would tell myself to remember that. Number 9 is the big projects I have to keep in mind that I want to take on, even if I can't act toward them today, are. And number 10, this is all morning mindset. I would know that today was a great success if at the end of the day I did or said or felt this. And the other prompt it has is persons I need to lead or connect with today and how to do it well. And there are 6 prompts in addition to the scoring that I already laid out. Sorry, I'm doing this a little out of order, but the evening journal prompts, there's 6. 1 is a moment that I really appreciated today was. Number 2 is a situation or task I handled well today was. Number 3 is something I realized or learned today was. Number 4, I could have made today even better if I. Number 5 is something that could have helped me feel more connected to others today would have been. Number 6 is if I was my own high performance coach, I would tell myself this statement about today. Did I miss that one on the other side? It's like if I was my own high performance coach looking at my life from a high level, I would tell myself to remember that. So anyway, I'm sorry that might have been boring for you, but it gives you a glimpse into what I journal on a daily basis. And it also helps you map out your entire week as well as your entire month. And I find that having this level of intentionality enables me to not only perform well in my job as a mother, as a sister and a daughter, it really does have those prompts about relationships and showing up well for others and health, all of these things. It's pretty holistic. I don't know if it's the journal for me, but it's been working for me for a few months now. And it's helped me feel less overwhelmed because there is a lot going on in my life. you know, having my own business, having this podcast, having my W-2 job, it's a big job, having my family, which is number one, it's a lot. It's all a lot. And having time each morning and each evening to journal really just helps me organize things in my head and keeps me focused on what's going to get me towards my goals. So I will end it there. Thank you so much for listening this far. Thank you for being here with me up through 21 episodes. And if you're new, I hope you find value, and we're going to keep going. So thank you, everybody. Happy Thanksgiving. I am grateful for you, and I truly do mean it. Message me on Instagram at Amanda the Investor. I want to hear from you, and I want to put out content that matters to you. So keep me honest. Happy Thanksgiving. Today's episode was sponsored by Matrix Arch Capital, and you can find me on Instagram at Amanda the Investor. Send me a message. I'd love to hear from you.